Yeah. It's a pity that we don't have Pierre.
Hello. Hello, everyone. We are here live from the IAC in Milan. By my side is Dr. Robert Zubrin, President of the Mars Society. And I have here Professor Gustavo Medina Tanco. He is well known for the Colmar project and for his engagement to the moon. And we have here Adriano Autino, one of the founders and vice president of the Space Renaissance International. My name is Sabine Heinz. I'm as well vice president of the Space Renaissance International, and I'm also a member of the Mars Society. So we want to give a short talk. Yeah, genau. So, yeah, you want to ask some question, Adriano? Yeah.
Okay, so we know that Bob Zubrin, Dr. Bob Zubrin, is the founder of the Mars Society. So he is the guy that is most of all pushing for colonization, to go to Mars and colonize Mars and make a Mars city, etc., etc. Of course, he is a long date space activist, one of the most important space activists in the world. And we have Dr. Gustavo Medina here, who is very much interested to the lunar activities with the Artemis program incoming, and all what is related, trying to rule the activities about the use of lunar resources and Mars resources too, and asteroid resources and so on. So we believe that a discussion, I'm sorry, I was out of the camera, a short discussion among these two persons, both of them are space enthusiasts and activists. It could be very interesting for us, Space Renaissance International, that we try to move ahead with the 19 SDG add into the 17 SDG 2030 agenda, and so on. So I would like to give you the floor. Who wants to be first? Okay.
Okay. I believe that Mars must be our principal goal of our space program, because I view this, the most significant thing about the space program is the possibility that it can be used to give birth to new branches of human civilization. Okay. You know, Columbus sold his mission to Queen Isabella, saying he'd find a new route to India. He did not. He did, however, open the way for the Spaniards to find some people who had some gold that they could steal. And so they made a profit. But that is not significant. And if that is all that had come out of Columbus's mission, some more profits for the Spanish crown, no one would consider a significant historical event today. What is significant about Columbus is, as a consequence of his actions and various things that followed and thereafter, was new branches of Western civilization became established in the New World, some of which were extremely productive in ideas. And as American, I take great pride in this. But the United States, which contributed, steamboats and telegraphs and electric light bulbs and centrally generated electrical power and recorded sound and motion pictures and airplanes and nuclear power and so forth, that has made immense contributions to the West's overall technological progress, as well as experimenting with social forms, establishing that democracy should be the way forward, etc. So this is what we can do with Mars. Mars is a place where the rules haven't been written yet, where people can establish settlements, the ones that are most attractive, that offer the greatest opportunities for humans to develop and use their talents, that have to offer the greatest freedom. Those will attract immigrants, the most immigrants. Okay, those founded on bad ideas will not attract immigrants and will die on the vine. But those that offer a better way will attract immigrants and create new societies which will be both productive in themselves and examples for Earth back home. And this we can do on Mars, which we cannot do on the moon, which we cannot do on asteroids. Okay, Mars, okay, it's got oceans of water frozen into its soil, or even as pure water ice. Water on the moon is present in parts per million quantities, except for a few shadow craters near the pole. There's no carbon on the moon. We are carbon-based life forms. Carbon dioxide is 95% of Mars's atmosphere. There is no nitrogen on the moon. Nitrogen is 3% of Mars's atmosphere. Okay, all the minerals that are needed are present on Mars because Mars has had a complex geological history, including water action, okay, as well as volcanism and possibly even biological action, whereas the moon is basically trash rock because it hasn't had these features. And Mars has got a 24-hour day, very similar to the Earth. The moon is 2 weeks of light, 2 weeks of dark. In every respect, while the moon is closer, Mars compares to the moon for the coming age of exploration and settlement as Greenland compared to North America during the previous European age of maritime exploration and settlement. Greenland was closer to Europe. Europeans reached it first, but it was not a place where a new branch of European civilization could be established, whereas North America was. And that is why Mars needs to be the goal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bob. I think, that we want to listen to what you have to say. We believe someone thinks about moon as a stepping stone toward Mars. Other things that we have maybe to develop both, because there is not only moon, but also cislunar space that must be very much interesting from the point of view of first habitats and so on. But, okay, Gustavo.
Well, I am of course convinced that the human beings and human civilization has to get out of the Earth and start to colonize the whole solar system and beyond eventually. But what I think is that for it to be really viable, it had to be self-sustained. We cannot have people in some asteroid or planet or Mars or whatever if there is not an economy behind, because nobody will pay for that. And it's very expensive to live and very complex to live in a planet that is so far away. So I think that things have to be done step by step. So, and creating an economy that is progressing. And I think that the moon has the chance to create an economy. And there are killer apps, if you want, in that sense. For example, the moon is very good for science. There are a lot of huge experiments that can be done there. And in order to deploy these experiments, you have to create an industry on the moon. And yes, it's true that there are some minerals that are scarce, like carbon, that we will need if you want to fabricate polymers. But there is carbon, and we can produce it at a certain cost, much more than here on the Earth, but there is. So there is everything to create an economy if there is a motivation to create an economy. And this is the good thing in the moon. You have first great scientific experiments, for example, great astronomy detectors or astrophysical detectors, or for example, like gravitational wave detectors, that these are infrastructures that you cannot take 100% from the Earth to the moon because it's very expensive to take all these things there. So I think the moon gives you the opportunity to start from the utilization of resources, from mining up the economical ladder to create a pyramid, an economical pyramid, to do factories effectively and start to create an economy there. Once you have an economical activity, I think we will start to transform in a civilization that has the tools and the knowledge to be living in between these two worlds. And of course, few people will live in the moon. It's not nice to live there, as he can say very well. It's very gray. But still, we will have robots and we will learn how to do the things. And from there, we can expand. And probably even before we go to Mars, that's my view, we will go to asteroids to do mining, because there are things like rare earths that probably is better to produce there in the asteroids and bring to the Earth without polluting the biosphere, for example. And then maybe we will start to find the technology to go to Mars and do something there. But I think that if we go to Mars, for example, when I hear Elon Musk saying that he wants to take 100,000 or 200,000 people there, my first question is what they will do there. Once they arrive there, what they will do, how they will live. Yeah, they need to have jobs, produce an economy, produce food, produce something to sell probably to the Earth. So we have to find a business model. And I don't see the business model for Mars. Not yet. I'm sure there will be eventually. Yeah? But I think along the history of humanity, we always see that there has to be some economical basis behind to do the things. When the Western world came to America, and I am in America, came to America, the thing started when there were products that could be produced in America and that were of economic value in Europe. Yeah. If that's nobody went to the Sahara Desert, for example, and conquered the Sahara Desert. It's very simple. There is nothing to do there. How do you live in the Sahara Desert? Yeah? Yeah. So you need to create this economy. There has to be a business model.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, the time is very short. So I have to put another question to both of them. Sorry. Okay, Sabine. Clearly we are talking about priority. What should come first, Mars or the Moon? I think the two of you have good reasons, good arguments. And I can say from my philosophical point of view that we need both, because for the civilian space development, we also need to industrialize the cislunar space and the Earth-Moon space. So my question to you, do you think in the current situation of the world that we are forced to choose a priority? Cannot we put ahead the two programs together? Consider that we are spending 2.5 trillion a year in weapons. And our duty as a space community should be to convince the government to dedicate at least 10% of that absurd budget to civilian space development. Then we can go to Mars and to the Moon. Contemporary. What do you think about it? Sabine, sorry.
This was my question too. I wanted to say that I think there is no priority. There is no or Moon or Mars. I think we can develop it together, and everyone has his purpose. And I attended very often the Mars Society convention, and I know that they are working on different fields and developing a lot of things and asking the right questions to go there. And I think Moon could be the first base for this, but Mars, it's not neither Moon or nor Mars. I would like to give it.
Okay, look, Mars is not going to be settled by the United States government or the United Nations or anything of the kind. Mars is going to be settled by groups of people who choose to establish their settlements on Mars. The fact that we are now about to see the advent of reusable rockets means that there will soon be a market in used rockets, okay? Just as there's a market in used cars because cars are reusable. It's going to become possible for groups of people to actually buy the transportation system that will take them to another world, the Moon or Mars. Now, why go to a naked rock like the Moon when you can go to Mars? The delta V to go to Mars is actually less than that to go to the Moon. You can go to the Mars easier than the Moon and take more cargo with you, but there's also a lot more there to work with. And then in answer to the question that was raised earlier, what's the export of Mars? It's inventions. Inventions come from people, okay? On Mars, you're going to have a group of technologically skilled people in a frontier environment that forces them to innovate. And so they're going to make innumerable innovations, which they will need to succeed on Mars, but which will be exportable to the Earth as patents. And that is the thing that you can export across interplanetary space. The easiest is a patent, not rocks. Okay. And as far as exploiting the asteroids is concerned, you need to have a base to do it from. You know, if you want to make money off of a gold rush, you don't do it mining gold. You do it by selling shovels and blue jeans to gold miners. That's why San Francisco exists. That in the California gold rush is long over. That's why Seattle exists, even though the Yukon gold rush is long over. It is far easier to send supplies to the asteroid belt from Mars than from Earth. And Mars will have the trade in terms of supporting asteroid development. You don't want to try to support asteroid development from the Earth. But the main export from Mars will not be supporting minerals from the asteroids, which really, frankly, is something that someone can make money doing, but is not transformative to the Earth. The thing that will be transformative to the Earth will be the inventions that Martians make.
Well, first of all, I don't see why the Martians will be more inventive than the terrestrials, really, or the lunars. Yeah, but basically, what we see is that we have more invention, or we have more people. Yeah, so they will do. As for the people that went to mine California, they didn't consume the gold themselves. They sold it to the rest of the community. So again, you need to have something in the other place that is commercially viable in another, yeah? And I don't see that Mars have that at this point. Of course, at some point, it could be important for a series of reasons, but it has to be self-sustained somehow. I don't believe in governments, even if we use $30 trillion in weapons, I don't see governments spending 10% of that in the ethical purpose of going to Mars. Yes,
We have to call it.
really no. We can call and we will have to call, but what we see is that it was not the government of Spain or Portugal that in the end made the American continent what it is. It was people that went there to do their life, and in order to do a normal life, you have to have an economical activity. You have to have a salary, basically. Yeah? Like it or not, we live in a world where we exchange things for other things. If we don't have something to exchange, who will pay for that? If you go to the moon, you need to Mars, you need a huge infrastructure to live there. You have to produce oxygen, you have to produce fertilizer in order to produce food, you have to produce very complicated vehicles, you have to have factories. Who will pay for that? In order that for that, if you want to do it in a self-sustaining Mars, you will need to have a critical mass of people living there. So there is a threshold you have to cross. So I think that, as always, you need a killer app. When the Europeans went to Asia, it was because there was an interest. There was seed, there was a species, there was something to be traded. Yeah? And I think this is the thing that is still missing. Of course, we will go there to do science, to do lots of things, but it's not just a matter of energy to go to Mars. Yeah, maybe it's not the delta V is not so high, but it is very hard to be 3 years away of your family, away of your planet, and receiving radiation like hell. See, and that's a reality. And if you get sick there, you cannot come back. If you get sick in the moon, in 3 days, you can be back. So if you go, because to the moon, at least until you have the technology, you will go to work and you will come back. It will be like going to the oil platform, yes, to go and work there, and 15 days later or 1 month, you will be back. But you will not live permanently. We need much more technology, and we need, I think, really, really to have some kind of economy to do that. Because the Starship to go there to Mars is not paid by the government. Yeah? It's done by a commercial venture, yeah? Which is basically. And he wants to sell tickets or whatever, but he wants to find some business model, even if he has some idea behind.
Okay, so just a few final words because Bob has to go. Yeah, the one thing, creativity, the difference in creativity will exist between Earthers and spacers. Spacers will be more creative, for sure, because they will think in space, in a three-dimensional situation. So this is the only comment I want.
don't believe that. Probably an
No,
artificial
it's
intelligence will be more
no,
creative.
it's a philosophical point. It's Frank White, the overview effect.
I'm going to have to get, but okay, people on a frontier society will be more creative. This is why America has been such a powerful engine of invention. Okay, you put people on the edge, you challenge them, you get the most inventions. But I actually have to leave now. I'm going to hand the mic over to Sabine for concluding remarks.
One remark, Robert. I think we should think in a longer term because Mars has an atmosphere and Moon does not. So I think we have other possibilities to settle on Mars than on Earth in the long term. What do you think?
Well, I think that Mars is the place if you want to settle. Anyway, I got to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.